Disney's much-anticipated Snow White. 2025 has now officially spiraled into what many are calling one of the greatest disasters in the history of the studio. And surprisingly, the negative press isn't the only reason behind this catastrophic downfall. From the extremely controversial casting decisions to the complete train wreck that was the film's promotional tour, Disney finds itself scrambling to contain the chaos it accidentally unleashed. But amidst all this turmoil, there's one critical setback the company never predicted: Gal Gadot's deliberate and strategic move to entirely distance herself from the project. This film has all ongoing tensions between its leading stars, behind-the-scenes dysfunction, and a marketing campaign that has unraveled in real time. Today, we'll break down every single factor contributing to this colossal failure and examine precisely why Snow White appears destined to become one of Disney's most embarrassing flops. Before we dive further into the heart of today's discussion, if you're enjoying this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel and don't forget to tap the bell icon so you're notified whenever new updates go live. We truly appreciate your support. At this point, it's undeniable Snow White 2025 is rapidly cementing itself as one of Disney's most catastrophic failures in recent memory. The issues plaguing this film extend far beyond its outrageously inflated budget. Instead, the root of the disaster lies in a string of disastrous decisions made behind closed doors. From the controversial casting of Rachel Zegler herself, to her series of inflammatory comments about the original 1937 Snow White, the iconic prince, and even her personal interpretation of the titular role, backlash was inevitable. Long before the film even reached audiences, the controversy had already reached a boiling point. Disney's entire marketing strategy, which was supposed to salvage the project, has backfired spectacularly, leaving the studio frantically attempting to recover from what could be one of its most significant miscalculations in years. Yet, what's potentially even more damaging is the escalating feud between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. What started as an awkward snub when Rachel seemingly ignored Gal during her Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony was merely the first crack in what has now become a very public rift between the two actresses. This growing animosity has directly contributed to the film's worsening reputation. But what's particularly fascinating here is Gal Gadot's calculated response. Unlike Rachel, Gal saw the warning signs early. From the very beginning, she understood that this project was heading toward controversy and failure, and she wasted no time starting to distance herself, quietly but firmly, from the film. And this is where the situation gets even more revealing. Disney initially had grand ambitions to position Gal Gadot as the face of Snow White's global press tour. She was supposed to be the studio's primary promotional asset, traveling to theaters, participating in fan Q&As, and drumming up positive publicity across social media platforms. But things took a sharp turn when Disney tried to manage public perception by tightly restricting what Gal could say during interviews. Faced with the prospect of being forced to stick to Disney-approved talking points, Gal made a bold decision. She pulled out entirely. She wasn't willing to compromise her integrity by parroting corporate narratives for a film she didn't believe in. Gal's disappointment with the movie's final version wasn't just professional, it was personal. In the end, she refused to be the face of a product she felt ashamed of. This forced Disney to abruptly cancel key promotional events in Los Angeles, which had initially included visits to at least 10 theaters. The fallout, however, didn't stop there. Gal Gadot went even further, withdrawing from over 60% of her scheduled interviews, many of which were supposed to include director Mark Webb and writer Greta Gerwig. Behind the scenes, sources say Gal was furious. Disney's decision to focus on some of her worst on-screen moments in the final cut had pushed her past the point of frustration. At that moment, she made her position crystal clear. She would not promote, support, or stand behind the film that she believed was doomed from the start due to studio mismanagement and creative mishandling. And now, Gal Gadot is reportedly preparing to speak publicly for the first time about everything that happened behind the scenes. According to insiders, she plans to break her silence once the film completes its theatrical run, possibly using platforms like SiriusXM to tell her side of the story. She's expected to address everything: the strained relationship with Rachel Zegler, the endless production setbacks, and the behind-the-scenes complications that plagued the shoot from day one. For Gal, this isn't just about responding to a failed press tour. This is about reclaiming control over her own narrative and finally telling the public the truth about what really went wrong during the making of Snow White. So, what does all of this mean for Disney? Put simply, the studio is in full-blown crisis mode. The promotional strategy is collapsing, while industry insiders report that early metrics for Snow White are falling off a cliff. The backlash, both from critics and ordinary fans, continues to escalate, and Disney appears powerless to reverse the downward trend. The issue isn't just the toxic publicity. The film itself is a creative disaster. Despite pouring millions into its marketing campaign, Disney is facing the harsh reality that audiences simply aren't connecting with the film. Poor acting performances, sloppy editing, and pacing issues have all contributed to lackluster test screenings. And now, the final product is falling short of expectations across every metric. However, perhaps the harshest blow comes from Gal Gadot's complete disengagement from the project. Following her professional fallout with Disney, Gal has redirected her focus toward her future in Hollywood. With James Gunn steering the DC universe in a new direction, Gal's tenure as Wonder Woman has officially ended, and she's pivoting toward action thrillers and other studio projects where she feels more creatively respected. She's making it abundantly clear she has no interest in promoting a movie she considers detrimental to her career. From this point forward, she wants no association with Snow White whatsoever. So, where does that leave Disney's live-action Snow White? Unfortunately, the answer is bleak. The film is rapidly becoming a cautionary tale within the entertainment industry, a textbook example of how mishandling a major blockbuster can result in complete failure. Between the internal drama, the public relations disaster, and the ever-growing backlash from both critics and audiences, Snow White 2025 is shaping up to be one of Disney's most devastating losses in recent years. Despite the company's attempts to push forward a progressive agenda with this project, the undeniable truth is that Snow White simply turned out to be a poorly made film. No amount of advertising can change that fundamental reality. As for Gal Gadot, she's leaving the mess behind her, moving forward to bigger, better, and more meaningful projects. Snow White is now nothing more than an unfortunate chapter in her career, a chapter she's more than ready to close. Meanwhile, Disney is left facing the fallout alone. And if there's one lesson to take away from this entire saga, it's this: even with unlimited resources and the best intentions, no film is immune from failure if it's built on the wrong foundation from the start.